the February 2026 permit data just dropped, and it's giving a very clear signal about what's happening in the Canadian housing ahead. So let's talk about what 2035 would realistically look like if nothing changes. Imagine waking up in the year 2035. You open the door of your compact, energy efficient apartment in a quiet, well planned neighborhood. Everything you need is close by: your children's school, the grocery store, your workplace, parks, even your medical clinic, all within a 15-minute walk or bike ride. There's no private backyard or attached garage. Instead, you're sharing your green space and community amenities with your neighbor. Cars are rare, travel is minimal, emissions are lower, and daily life feels convenient, but also a lot more structured than what many of us are used to today. For a growing number of Canadian families, this could become the new normal. So, how did we get here? Was this kind of future inevitable for us? Or is it being shaped by decisions that are happening right now? Hi there, this is Claudia. I'm one of the Ragona sisters, and today we're going to talk about something that will affect every single one of us in the near future: the Canadian housing landscape. And this isn't just a topic for just buyers and sellers. No, this touches every single one of us. So whether you're a first-time buyer, planning for retirement, thinking of downsizing, upsizing, or you're just trying to help your kids get into the market, or just simply protecting the value of a home you've worked incredibly hard to own, what's happening right now matters, because the type of housing being built today will shape what's even available tomorrow. And if you're finding this content helpful, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. It helps us get this information in front of more Canadians who really need to see it. We're building a community here that actually understands what's happening in the housing market, because let's be honest, this isn't a conversation you're going to hear on your local news. Our homes, our neighborhoods, and the way we live impact every single one of us. And the decisions being made right now are shaping the future, whether you're paying attention or not. We do the research, we follow the data, and we bring you the unfiltered truth about what's really happening so you can make informed decisions and not make reactive ones. Because the more people that understand what's going on, the better positioned we all are. All right, so let's get into the data. According to the latest Stats Canada numbers for February 2026, the total value of building permits across the country dropped sharply. They're down more than 8% in just 1 month. Even after adjusting for inflation, this is the weakest February we've seen in 3 years. But here's where it really matters for housing. While the dollar value of residential permits ticked up slightly, almost all of that increase came from multifamily projects, which is apartments and condos. At the same time, single-family homes, the kind that most people and families still dream and picture themselves owning, have actually declined. So when you look at that number of units approved, only about 24,900 new homes were given the green light in February alone. And that's down the month before and also lower than this time last year. So here's the reality. Builders are technically spending more on paper, but they're planning fewer actual homes overall, and especially fewer detached homes with yards and garages. And here's where it gets even more interesting. On the resale side, single-family homes are still outperforming condos in many markets. So that tells us that the demand has not disappeared. But when it comes to new construction, builders are clearly moving in a different direction. But at the same time, the rest of the construction sector is slowing down. Permits for offices, schools, and industrial buildings have dropped significantly. They're down 24% in just 1 month. So despite all the conversations around cutting red tape and encouraging development, builder confidence overall appears to be cooling. And this lines up with what the CMHC has warned us about before. They expect new housing starts to continue declining through 2026, right into 2028. And the reasons are pretty straightforward. Construction costs are still high, financing is tight, and there's a growing amount of unsold inventory, especially in the condo market. So right now, most of the limited new supply is coming from rental apartments. Meanwhile, new traditional condos and single family homes remain relatively quiet. At the federal level, there are also major policy decisions shaping this direction. The government is putting billions, I say billions of dollars toward accelerating housing supply. But the focus is very specific. It's largely going toward rental housing, smaller unit types, and faster construction methods like modular and prefabricated homes built on public land. Their goal is speed, efficiency, and affordability at a scale. At the same time, these housing strategies are closely tied to Canada's climate commitments. That is, reducing emissions is a major priority, and buildings play a meaningful role in that. So there's a strong push towards energy efficient construction, smaller footprints, and communities that rely less on cars. And that's where the ideas like the 15-minute smart cities come into play. The concept sounds very simple. Design communities where everything you need, like your work, your school, your groceries, your healthcare, your recreation, is all within a 15-minute walk or bike ride. Supporters point to convenience, lower emissions, and improved quality of life. But in practice, achieving that kind of convenience usually means one thing: more density, more multifamily housing, more infill, and less emphasis on traditional low-density single-family neighborhoods. So when you step back and you connect all the dots, policy, funding, climate goals, and construction trends, you start to see a very clear direction forming. So this raises a bigger question. What is the long-term vision here? Because right now, most of the support and incentives are pretty much going towards rental housing and multifamily development, not toward a large number of new detached homes. And according to CMHC, Canada would need somewhere between 430 and 480,000 new homes per year through 2035, just to restore affordability to more reasonable levels. And that's nearly double what we've been building. So if detached construction stays low, while multifamily supply continues to be prioritized, the makeup of housing in Canada is going to clearly shift, whether people are ready for this or not. So let's bring this back to life, because this 50-minute city isn't just a theory. It's already showing up in your neighborhood. If you live in the suburbs, you know the lifestyle: a driveway, a backyard, space for the kids, maybe even a little breathing room. And let's be honest, most people didn't grow up dreaming about sharing their space. So let me ask you this. If you're in Ontario or in British Columbia, have you noticed those empty lots in your neighborhood lately? You know, the ones that sat around forever and now suddenly there's a sign up, construction started, and before you know it, they built a multiplex or a small apartment building. That's not random. That's policy in motion. That's exactly where many of these changes are starting. Cities are adjusting zoning rules. What used to be strictly single-family dwellings in these neighborhoods are now being opened up to duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and condo buildings. And this isn't just a someday situation. It's already happening across Ontario and British Columbia. So what does that actually mean for you? It means you can start seeing multifamily units show up on streets that always felt quiet and predictable. Corners you never thought twice about, suddenly they're development opportunities. Now let's be real. There are two sides to this. On one hand, you're going to have increased density, and that can push property values higher in certain areas, and that can absolutely be an upside. But that obviously depends on who you are and how your property is positioned. But on the other hand, there's the reality that comes with it. That's more construction, more traffic, taller buildings, and a noticeable shift in the overall character of your neighborhood. And if you own a detached home, this can affect everything from resale appeal to property taxes to even the ability to downsize within your own community without having to pay a premium, of course. And now let me even bring it closer to home for you. I'm sure some of you have seen this firsthand. I have, or maybe you've experienced it yourself. You bought a home backing on the golf course or even green space or something that gave you privacy and a premium lifestyle. And you obviously paid a premium for that lot. And then years later, that same land behind you You know, the empty one with no properties? Yeah, well, that gets sold. And now you're looking at a multi-unit development, condo buildings or multiplexes going up right behind your backyard. And that obviously changes things. And then there's the traffic issue, which honestly isn't talked about enough. A lot of these neighborhoods were originally designed for single family living. The roads, the infrastructure, the flow of traffic, it was all built for a certain population. Now we're adding multi units into those same areas, but the infrastructure isn't always keeping up. Vacant land that sat untouched for years is now being developed, which on paper, yeah, sure, it sounds great. But in reality, driving 1 or 2 kilometers for 20 to 30 minutes, yeah, that's not cool. It's friggin' frustrating because it's not just about the housing now, it's about how we actually live day to day. And this is not hypothetical, it's already happening. Cities like Calgary have been moving in this direction for years. Toronto and Mississauga are building out complete communities where daily needs are met locally. Edmonton is actively overhauling zoning as well. So the bottom line here is this isn't some future concept. It's already reshaping neighborhoods across this country. And it's going to directly impact property values, lifestyle, and long-term decisions for many homeowners. So the real question becomes, are you watching it happen or positioning yourself to benefit from it? Because whether you like it or not, the rules are changing and the shift is happening with or without you. If these current trends continue, there are a few realistic scenarios worth thinking about. Over the next couple of years through 2028, single-family construction is likely to remain limited. That could make detached homes even harder to find, pushing prices higher and increasing competition for whatever's available. Looking a few years further out to 2029, if supply continues to lag, we could see a wider gap from where homeownership becomes more concentrated among higher income buyers, while the rest of the Canadians rely on housing rental options. By 2031 and beyond, single-family homes may represent a smaller portion of new construction altogether. They may still exist, but increasingly at a premium and often farther from urban centers, while denser housing becomes the new norm closer to jobs and services. Now, this February 2026 is just one snapshot, but it's pointing in a very clear direction. Builder activity is slowing in certain segments, while government policy continues to prioritize speed, rental supply, and more compact living. The focus is clear, though. Build faster, build smarter, and align with long-term sustainability goals. So the real outcome here will depend on how all of this balances out. Housing supply, buyer demand, affordability, and the type of communities people actually want to live in. We've walked through the data, the policy direction, and some very realistic scenarios, but the bigger picture is this. The decisions being made today about housing planning and development are going to shape what's available, not just for us though, but for the next generation. This is happening in real time. And the outcome will come down to how many people respond, adapt, and position themselves for the next few years coming. So if you're not sure how this affects your specific situation, whether that's protecting your equity, planning your next move, helping your kids enter the market, or just evaluating your investment, we can walk through it together. So if you're interested to have a conversation, book a call with our team, there's a link below. This is exactly what we do to help people navigate every single day. So let me ask you guys now, are you happy with how our housing landscape is changing right now? Because this isn't just about policy, it's about your home, equity, and your future. So what does this mean for you and your next move? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.